Hey guys, David here. So it's Shield time, and ABC and Marvel, they were hyping this episode up quite a bit because this episode is called The Good Samaritan, and the big thing behind it is that this is going to be the somewhat origin story of this version of Ghost Rider, and that's what they were kind of promoting this episode to be. But what they didn't tell you is that that's actually about half of the episode. We have the origin story being told through flashback, while at the same time, this episode served almost as a little bit of a continuation from last week's. It almost felt like a part 2, and there's definitely going to be a part 3 based on how this episode ended, because that was actually a pretty damn good cliffhanger. Sadly, I feel like that cliffhanger, however, preceded what I thought was kind of a bad twist, but I'll get to that in a second. First of all, the big origin story behind Ghost Rider. That was a very dramatic retelling. Not only did we see him actually die in a very gruesome accident, him flying out of the car like that, and I say gruesome for the sense of ABC's Shield, but with the new time slot, they're allowed to show not only this, but a legitimate drive-by or gang hit on not only one of our main characters here, Robbie, but a kid, his little brother. We see him in slow motion getting shot up and blood spurting. I'm like, shit, is it just me, or is this the darkest scene we've had on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? And that is including a scene where a dude gets his arm hacked. Twice. We've seen that in the show happen like 2 or 3 times now. And then this whole scene was made even cooler by not only including some more of those Ghost Rider effects, but the OG Ghost Rider himself shows up. I mean, they never mention him by name. Maybe it's something to do with the rights that's shared with, I think, Columbia Pictures or something like that. But I don't think so. I think they just wanted to kind of have Robbie be his own self-contained Ghost Rider. But we do get a little kind of sort of cameo by the original Johnny Blaze. I'm assuming it's Johnny Blaze because he rolls up in a motorcycle, he's got the get up. We don't see an actor particularly playing him because he himself has the flaming skull, but it seemed like Johnny Blaze to me, so I'm gonna take it as Johnny Blaze passing down the curse over to Robbie. That entire scene was not only a very cathartic scene for Robbie and making him an even cooler character for the show, but just overall, it's a humongous nerdgasm of a scene. I was grinning the entire time. And then that grin got even wider when Mace finds out about Robbie and Daisy on the plane, and then they have this fight that that entire sequence made Ghost Rider even more badass because he actually broke out of the containment unit. Alright, that whole thing was supposed to house humans, and everybody was so confident. Even Daisy is like, come on, don't even bother, you're not gonna, oh shit, he broke out. Pairing that along with him legitimately kicking Mace's ass just solidified that, yeah, this guy's not inhuman. He legitimately has a supernatural being inside of him, and nobody should fuck with him. However, all this cool stuff was done in the presence of his brother, and now who knows what he's going to feel about his brother actually being the Ghost Rider. It kind of seemed like he was conflicted, but I don't know. He is somewhat, to an extent, one of the lesser interesting things about the show so far, but so far I'm liking his character. In fact, he could have been worse. In the hands of any other writer, this little brother, he could have been an annoying little shit, but I like him. I genuinely do. So I was caring to an extent when he did have that look of fear on his face. Here's the deal though, once they kind of make amends, sort of, kind of, and the whole team kind of goes into the compound where not only Lucy and Robbie's uncle Eli are there to kind of lead into the climax, it is at this point where unfortunately the episode kind of just fell flat on its face. I'm sorry. They were doing so many cool things, especially with Ghost Rider's origin, that I almost want to watch that scene again, that it's a little tough to kind of rinse the bad taste in my mouth that was the ending of this episode for a couple of reasons. One, I really don't like that they kind of have to connect the hit on Robbie and his younger brother to the uncle and this whole thing with the ghosts. I just wish that whole thing was a completely random thing instead of being an ordered hit. I don't like that. And I know that was kind of referenced in the last episode where the dude in the prison said, hey, that was not just a random gangbang, it was a legitimate hit. Somebody ordered that. I know I heard that, but I was kind of being in denial and just overlooked it. Here, it was explained that it was all part of the plan by that dude who kind of went crazy because of the book. And that just bugs me because I hate it when they try to connect every single thing, and it felt just a bit forced. And then comes the twist that the Uncle Eli, good old Uncle Eli, was behind the whole thing. He was the one. It makes no fucking sense. It does not. I don't know. It like there were scenes where it looked like Eli was trying to stop him and Lucy was the main bad guy when nobody else was around. And we were kind of having a window look into what they were talking about when nobody else was around. We saw scenes of them talking to one another in private, and it looked like the uncle was the good guy and Lucy was the bad guy. It makes no sense to make this sudden switch at the end just for the sake of it again, going back to how this whole thing with the hit felt forced. This felt even more forced, and it made no sense to me. And I just did not like it. The only good thing to come out of it was that cliffhanger where Uncle Eli walks out of the machine and he's able to make matter. But our heroes look like they disappeared. At least everybody who was inside the building. Fitz looked like he disappeared. Coulson looked like he's gone. And are they going to be ghosts and going to be wearing that bad makeup from here on out? Who knows? But it's definitely something that has me looking forward to the next episode. It's just that the circumstances of how we got there were kind of sloppy. And these problems that arose in the last 10 minutes of the episode or so are actually rather big problems because they can definitely hurt the narrative of the overall plot that we're having here in season 4. They're not just a couple of things that happen in the episode that I'm like, okay, it bothered me about the episode, but we could just move on from that. No, this is kind of the major deal with the episode, alright? It's the overall arc. And that's a humongous problem, and it's something that I just can't overlook. But thankfully, to balance this out, we had a very cool look at the origin of Robbie as the new Ghost Rider, as well as a very cool fight scene between him and Mace, and showing how powerful this being was a humongous, very nerdy moment for me. So I am going to be giving The Good Samaritan an 8 out of 10, but it's going to be a low, very low 8 out of 10. I was on the cusp of giving it just a 7 because of that ending, but Ghost Rider's pretty cool in this show. I just cannot deny how cool Ghost Rider is. I'm geeking over it. So guys, please sound off in the comments below what you guys thought of Ghost Rider's origin story. Did it make sense? Was it cool to see who I thought was Johnny Blaze appear in this episode? And what do you think of these couple of twists that we had at the end of the episode that to me didn't make sense, but maybe to you guys it did? And please, if you guys are a Good Samaritan yourselves, then hit that like button, subscribe for future videos, and of course, stay tuned for much, much more, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys next time.